skin feeling rougher than sandpaper? Don't let it ruin your day. Try new Dial Exfoliating Body Wash with a touch of creamy cocoa butter, orange extract, and vitamin E. Reveals soft and glowing skin after just one shower. Dermatologist tested and pH balanced for a deep yet gentle clean. Dial up your day.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Died in Time is here. That's right, we're talking about Aliens versus Predator Requiem. What's it a requiem of? We never find out on Kill by Kill. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. It's your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from Gunningston, Colorado, United States, Canada. This is the Kill by Kill podcast, where we are dedicated to celebrating the least discussed component of any horror film, the characters. And we're going to unpack all the goriest details of Aliens versus Predator Requiem in the hopes that one of these dumb fucks' untimely end is just the beginning of the jokes we might make at their expense. And as always, there is only one person I trust that no matter what kind of mistake I make, she'll just pour some blue fluid on it and it'll melt away. The one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
I don't know where I am right now. I'm in some sort of room, but it's very, very dark in here.
Now, can you actually determine whether you're inside or outside? Like, is there rain? That helps you tell if you're outside or inside.
I mean, I feel some dampness, but I'm not sure.
You could be in a sewer with fantastic sound design where you can't tell what the fuck is happening.
Or I might be in a pool, like a room with a pool in it. But there's definitely some sort of liquid near me.
Sure. But there's also lots of other liquids near you. Some of it's yellow, some of it's green, and sometimes it's yellow-green for fucking reasons I can't even begin to understand.
Yeah, I really don't want to put my hands out to feel my way around, so I'm just going to kind of stand here.
It also helps that you cannot see all the time and effort people put into all this cool practical effects and all this cool character design. You will not see any of it, Gina.
No.
Oh my God. So we typically on the show don't always take listener requests. People suggest things to us and we're like, oh, that sounds interesting, or that might not be for us, or let's save that for the theme that we might do in the future. But I got a sort of avalanche with once the new trailer for Alien Requiem came out. Are we going to cover Alien versus Predator Requiem? And my immediate answer was no.
Do you mean Alien Romulus? That's the new one.
My apologies. Yes, Alien Romulus is the new movie come out, which looks really good, and we will cover that on the show. But when we got, and it was like 5 or 6, some just in replies, others in tagging us, some DMs, where it's like, we need you guys to cover Aliens versus Predator Requiem. And we hadn't even covered the first one quite on purpose. And so I'm like, well, the audience has spoken. In terms of SEO, it kind of works. So why not give it a shot? Had you ever seen this movie before? I sadly asked you to watch it.
Yeah, I think during the summer 2020, I decided that I was going to watch all of the Alien movies and all of the Predator movies. So obviously, I'd seen the first 4 Alien movies quite a few times by that point, but this time I included Prometheus and Covenant, and I caught up on all the other Predator movies, and I figured, well, I'll finally get around to watching Alien versus Predator. I do know I watched this. I remembered nothing.
Mhm.
I watched this last night. I once again remember nothing.
Yeah, it has a mind wipe feature that I was unaware it comes attached to the film, almost like the what's this not Douglas Adams. Who's the other dipshit Adams who you in the
Scott
text?
Adams.
Scott Adams, that he had created a hypnotism via Chat GPT, but he wouldn't share it with everyone because it's too dangerous.
I was gonna
I believe.
say it's gonna. I was gonna say is like, you know, Will Smith steps out at the end of the movie and just like flashes that little beam of light at you.
Sure, for Men in Black. And I also feel like some of it has to do with the fact you cannot, and we're not the first, this is not original content that you can't see shit in this movie. But let me tell you how badly you can't see it. I saw this movie on the Fox lot for free in their premier producers, theater, where the bulb is turned up all the way, where the speakers are not put on low. You're getting everything so that every executive, every high muckety muck, no matter what they're seeing in there, is going to see the best version of it. And I'm like, I can't see shit in this movie.
Yeah, it really, you when you see how dark this movie is, it really does make you wonder how anybody looked at it in production and said, yes, it's fine.
Yeah, there, but the wild thing about it, and I just think this has to come down to a certain level of incompetence on the part of the two filmmakers involved. They would go on to continue working, and they work predominantly in visual effects, a lot of CGI stuff, right? They go on to do that one Space Invader movie where people get kidnapped and then they take your brain out and they stuff it in an ape.
Sure.
It's not good. It is bad. It got a sequel many years later because it has a cult following for reasons I can't tell you, but you can at least see people in that movie. Here, they got it in their heads that the less, that you create these effects in darkness, right? To hide its flaws, to make it look good. Movies who have done this well, perhaps John Carpenter's The Thing and the original Alien or Aliens or Alien 3 or even Alien Resurrection, they all figure out where to put shadows and where to put light so that you can see the nasties. And in here, they light everything with 2 flashlights and a couple of D batteries from 1975.
Well, the problem is I understand if, like, remember the 98 Godzilla?
Sure, yeah.
And how every scene that Godzilla was in, it was at nighttime and raining.
Yes.
Because they obviously were not confident in how well the special effects of Godzilla would come out on film.
Right. And it adds, in a certain light, it adds atmosphere to something. But it also meant every actor in that movie was standing in wet clothes for 8 months.
Right. And so I get it's not uncommon for movies in which the special effects might be a little shaky to simply just make every scene that's required of them in the darker than normal. But here, even just scenes between actors are lit with a flashlight. I mean, it doesn't help that the most famous actor in this entire movie became famous later for murdering someone.
Oh God.
And but like this is just like, you never saw a cast of nobodies.
I mean, it is a little weird. I mean, you say nobody's in the fact that like no one's a real A-lister here. But at the time, this is what I would call a list of studio approved picks. These are people who have worked for Fox primarily on television and have a check mark next to them. We're like, we believe this person can actually do this job. And if you want to put them in your show, whether it's on network or on cable, they're approved. We might have something to say about it, but at least they've cleared that hurdle. But none of them really stand out, with the exception of the one who ends up murdering somebody. Like Stephen Pasquale, he works a ton on Broadway. And from what I hear, he is great on stage. I don't doubt that. He was on Rescue Me on FX for a really long time, playing one of the doofiest characters you've ever come across in your entire life. Kind of a sex idiot. He's the rookie. He later goes on to be in an NBC show for about a half minute that everyone refers to as Dr. Face Hands, because the promotional image of it was him covering his face and his face superimposed on his hands.
Was he in fact Dr. Face Hands?
He was Dr. Face Hands. So he graduates to that. Like, people keep putting him on television because he's probably a good actor. I don't think you can put anyone in this movie and that they suddenly rescue what happens and transform it into a motion picture that people are going to be thrilled to watch.
Well, you know what? I'm looking at this cast right now, and I realize that one of the actors has been in a movie we've done before.
Right.
The actor is named Robert Joy. Do you remember what movie we know Robert Joy from?
Boy, that sounds very familiar. Who is? I know he plays a colonel in this one, but
yeah, see, I completely missed that he was in it. I would have recognized him because he's got a very.
You only see him from the side and like walking with a bunch of military personnel, and then he's like, "Do it," and they drop a bomb. They're like, "I love Return of the Living Dead." So do I, but this has no place in it. Why do you think that's okay? It's fucking nut bar. Okay, what did we cover with Robert Joy in before?
He is in Amityville 3D.
Of course
he's a guy that gets that falls into the Satan jacuzzi and does the comical.
He does the best scream we've ever covered on the show.
Yes.
Yeah. That's true. That is my apologies to Mr. Joy. He is a joy.
He is a joy in that movie.
Like,
not here though.
No.
It's like he just was like walking through the studio lot, and they were like, hey, you have a few minutes? Can you come over here? Put this colonel uniform on.
I do know a piece of trivia about this. They were actually supposed to put in an actor who had been in Predator 2 in this role.
Oh, really?
And he couldn't clear his schedule. So Joy is like a last minute replacement for an actual, callback to Predator 2. Let's wrap
up. A callback to Predator 2. Did everybody die except Danny Glover and what's her face? Maria Conchita Alonso?
Adam. Oh, what the fuck? It's the crazy right.
Oh, Adam Baldwin.
Adam Baldwin is in.
Oh, I assumed his character died.
Yeah, apparently they're like, but he didn't, and they were gonna put him in here, like probably put scars on his face or whatever the fuck. I don't remember how he dies in Predator 2. It's been a minute since I've seen that one. So, so Robert Joy's a fill-in. Then you have like guys like John Ortiz. Like Ortiz is that guy who he doesn't get the breaks, right? But he's used a lot. Like, he's a New York actor who probably has, I'm going to guess, 15, 25 credits that are just like Criminal Minds, Law and Order, Chicago Fire. Like, he probably has dozens of those credits. He works. But in this movie, nobody works. There's no workable thing here. They're paper people. They don't, for a character podcast, there is more character in A Violent Nature than there is in this 90-minute motion picture.
Like, I could not keep straight. You have these two characters who are brothers. They don't look alike, and yet I still can't tell them apart.
A part of it is that they're exact same height. They both have heavily lidded eyes. And when you see them from the side, you can't, they don't have different characters. They're both angry about something and they don't like one another. That's it. That's their entire character development. 24's Ryoko Aylesworth flits in here and is a returning soldier from quote unquote the war. And
The war. We all know the war.
Her husband is Sam Trammell from he was the worst part of True Blood, as basically handsome enough guy who can't get it from the main actress. Like, he is a truly heinous part of True Blood for me. I don't know, he might be the most wonderful guy, but that character was fucking the worst.
But we had a little girl who just, screams a lot. I'm pretty sure, I don't remember she had any actual dialogue except screaming.
And this is where I'm going to get into the other element of this. Like, it can't just be all, ire towards this poorly conceived, poorly shot, poorly edited, poor motion picture. What is something that is good about it? I said to myself, like, it's worth acknowledging that this movie was made by true fans of the franchise, right? And whenever you hear like the hate industrial complex guys who are like, I hate Marvel now because it's woke, and I hate Star Wars now because it's woke, and I hate The Boys now because it's woke, or no matter what it is, there's someone on that grift. But one of their common complaints is, why don't they put fans in charge of a motion picture? Because when you do, you get Aliens versus Predator Requiem. This is a fan-made film. There's never been more of a fan-made film than this, and it blows on a massive scale.
Well, I mean, I think that if I was allowed to see, Alien v Predatoring,
right?
It might be a decent enough watch, but you've got these, this is the hunter predator, his name is Wolf, and I'm like, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
It's like,
okay.
What distinguishes, is there any distinguishable feature about this predator from other predators I would recognize as, yep, that's Wolf, all right?
He has one mandible that's missing, so of the 4, he's -1, and that's about it.
But it's so dark, and he's so, again, they're so tentative about showing either of these creatures on screen for more than a half a second, that right. I don't know that I would have noticed that unless you pointed it out.
It's only like, you really only notice it in one shot on his home planet, because there's at least a red light shining in his face, and then he's in a fun chair, like an engineer chair from Alien and Prometheus, but it's predatorized. And he notices that this previous mission, which I shit you not, Gina, is a direct connection to the previous film. This picks up mere moments from the original Alien versus Predator. Did you know that?
I don't really, to be fair, I don't really remember much about the other Alien versus Predator movie either.
And nor should you have to, right? You should, but this just picks up where they're like, we're picking up a dead alien, or I'm sorry, a dead predator. We're going to slap him on a dining room table in the back room. And then, even though like a big thing that predators can do is scan a fucking body, no one does this. Who are these jokers? And this is my big question. Aliens, I get their society. They're space bugs who just want to eat and fuck in the way that they eat and fuck. But predator society, the way this presents it, I don't understand how that shit works. When we go to Wolf's little domicile, his bachelor pad, in the background, you see these tall buildings, these giant T's that look like the Teen Titans headquarters. And all I can think of is, who the fuck works there? But if they work there, what do they work doing? Is there a bureaucracy happening to Predator Planet? If there's a bureaucracy, does that mean that there's money involved somehow? Like, are they an agrarian society where they just skin things and take bones and like that one, song of like, the bones are their money and then and skulls are their dollars. Like, how does it fucking work? I'm so confused. And I would never have cared about that if I hadn't rewatched this movie, because it has no place in Predators or The Predator or Prey, because that's not what I'm into. I don't care about that. This movie forces me to care and question.
Well, you've got like, you've got these predaliens, I guess that's how you pronounce it, which
Mhm,
are hybrid. It's a hybrid predator and alien. And
mhm.
I'm like, wow, that sounds cool. I'd love it if I could see that.
Sure. One of my favorite things that Wolf does, by the way, Wolf named after the cleaner in Pulp Fiction.
Because one of the God, Megan would kill me for not knowing off the top of my head what the predator species is called. Are they big
Oh,
Tarantino fans?
I don't know. I assume they thought this was a very funny joke, right? That the cleaner is coming, so we name him after the cleaner from Pulp Fiction. Okay. But he looks into this space telescope and he sees that a predalien has burst out of the previous top predator of the other movie that nobody noticed. And then a bunch of his coworkers like, oh shit, we've got a predalien on board. And they just start getting taken out. And then one guy on the ship says, you know what's going to solve this problem on a spaceship? Shooting things. So he proceeds to shoot at this predalien until the point where their spaceship is like, well, I can't take any more of this. Let's crash. We never see like someone driving it. It's just like, does the entire spaceship is like, well, it's been a good run. Let's see what Colorado is like.
Yeah, you've really it's interesting that you put that out, that suddenly they're like they let this corpse on board without checking to make sure if there are any parasites or eggs in its chest or anything like that. They
Yeah.
or you were just like some sort of earthborne disease that might be a problem to them. Nope, they just bring it right on board. And then another predator decide, well, I better shoot inside this spacecraft. Like they're
But
like it's like in the original movies they were just set up as all these creatures know how to do is hunt. They're wily, they're slick, they're smarter than you, and all of a sudden it's like, well, you picked up the cleaning crew.
yeah. So, like, yeah, they're the janitors, but the thing is, they're picking up from an alien pyramid at the top of the world, where the entire point of it is you get some humans in there, you stuff them full of aliens, xenomorphs pop out, and then you get to test your metal against those xenomorphs. That is the purpose of that pyramid. It doesn't, if they also lend it out for wedding rehearsals, we're never told.
That would be cool.
That would be great. I would love to see what a Predator wedding rehearsal is. Not a wedding. I don't care about that. I want to see what work goes into filling in the blanks and letting the bride and groom, bride, however it works. I don't care. It's not my marriage. What are the in-laws like? What are the demands? Do people drink too much? Who serves? Did you go
what is
the
their
way?
what is their first dance to?
True. I mean, I'm assuming a countdown of some kind, because the only kind of sound effects we ever get from Predators are the little buttons that they click, the little that they make, and a countdown with their crazy number system.
Do they do a garter toss?
Sure. It's hard to make it over the giant knives, though.
I
That's
really want to see, like, if someone would do fan art of like a bride and groom predator, and like she's got like her foot on his leg, and he's just like pulling the garter off and making it saucy, giving her a saucy look.
Like, does one person in the bridal party drink too much? And then everyone's like, oh my God, I cannot believe Laser did it again.
Yeah,
every time.
do they do like do they have their own like planetary line dances, or have they picked up have they picked up the Cupid shuffle, the
Don't blast my glort, my glort.
do we see a bunch of 6'9" predators trying to do the chicken dance?
Everybody clap your mandals. This is what we're left to do.
Honestly, discussing what a predator wedding reception would look like is way more interesting than anything that happens in this movie.
Yes. Like it opens it up to all of these grand questions about their society, because what we're given here is just a bunch of dead meat walking. The entire point of almost everyone who's introduced is that they're going to get face huggered, lasered, slashed, or acid. That's it. Those are all the options. You want to choose your own death venture? We can do it right now. With the exception of that one girl who the entire point of her being is that she's, I guess, hot in skirt. She's thrown against a wall in that hospital into like antlers, and that's it.
Yes, yeah. If you were to ask me like how she died, I thought that the predator like shot something like in her direction and it accidentally hit her. That's what I thought happened. I thought she got like speared against the wall or something.
Well, yeah,
but that's how
exploded into it.
That's how
true.
badly this film is shot. And the problem is when you read reviews, it's like, oh, this one's extra gory, and it's like, yeah, wow. Again, I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah, you see it in a sort of very darkened way. Like there's an unrated version of this, which I think might be the only version you can see now, and it's true. Like you get to see severed arms and faces melted with acid and whatnot. And I'm sure some of that is cool, but you can barely see any of it. Like the aliens and predators here are created by the same guys who do Prometheus, who do Covenant, who do all the alien suits, after Aliens. And they all look good in behind the scenes photo. But you can't see shit. Their performances are really fucking cool. Unfortunately, they're in tight close-ups, or for whatever reason, we're given the sort of shaky cam up close thing. Like when I guess that was the fight choreographing of the time, where you got really up close to something and shook it to give it energy. And you're like, that does nothing for me. That is terrible.
Yeah.
It is a real disappointment. And I know it's not from effort, because I'll tell you the character design is one. I think the character design, when you actually see this shit, is good. Check mark, A+. The other thing that this movie does incredibly well is sound effect design. You want to hear what an alien egg sounds like opening? They recreate it. You want to hear what a predator sounds like climbing a tree? This gives it to you. Every single sound effect is perfect, an exact replication of its origin sound. And I applaud that. It's just all in service of a nothing story.
Summer is supposed to be an opportunity to slow down, but when you look at your kids, you can't help but notice that your kids are growing up fast. Help them build independence as they grow with Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app for families where parents can keep an eye on kids' money habits while kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. It's the easy, convenient way to raise financially smart kids. Get your first month free when you sign up at greenlight.com/pod.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
High Five Casino lets you play your favorite slot and live table games like blackjack with the chance to redeem for real cash prizes. High Five Casino has a giant selection of over 1,200 games, including hundreds of exclusive games only found on High Five Casino. It's always free to play, and free coins are given out every 4 hours. Ready to have your own high five moment? Visit highfivecasino.com. That's casino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. Must be 21 years or older. Terms and conditions apply.
Yeah, I don't think on a technical level it is an incompetently made movie, but obviously the human characters in this movie are they come in a distant second
Sure.
to the xenomorphs and the predators. Like I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure that the filmmakers attempted to figure out if it was possible to make a Predator versus Alien movie in which no human characters were involved.
I mean, it is called Aliens versus Predator, not, Gunningston, Colorado, featuring aliens and a predator. So from that standpoint, I kind of get you. But in another way, one of the things that really makes both the Alien franchise and the Predator franchise stand out is when they deliver you interesting characters, suddenly your involvement in these wacky proceedings rises to the level of that the film is trying to attain. All of a sudden you're worried, will Ripley get out of this one? Oh no, look at the size of that guy. He's dragging an entire fucking knife across his chest. He's screaming, that guy died? That guy was a fucking tank. When you put character into this shit, it resonates. It works. It's the reason why it's remembered. People love the aliens and they love the predators, but the reason why you love this shit is because they're mixing it up with people that you want to see on screen. And here, if I'm not reading it off a list, I would never know these people's names outside of one guy got out of jail, one guy happens to be the town sheriff, and one lady is a mom and a soldier. I don't know who these fucking people are.
Yeah, and it's wild to think that the next Alien movie after this was Prometheus,
Yes.
which was on a complete opposite turn. Ridley Scott was clearly more interested in David 8 as a character than the xenomorphs.
Yes.
And I think that, that combined with Michael Fassbender giving a, very good and chilling performance, made it overall a much more interesting movie, as well as, Noomi, I'm going to massacre her last name, Rapace.
Noomi Rapace. Yeah.
Yeah. Her being, you believing in God while being confronted with this, otherworldly events. I thought that was an interesting, it's really, I know a lot of people have problems with Prometheus. I actually like it very much. And again, like everything, you can fucking see everything.
Right.
I mean, imagine how unshocking that scene where the one crew member had been, I think his name was Fife. He'd gotten, alienated, and he came back and he was all like mutated, but he still had
the incredible melting man all of a sudden.
Right. And he just goes ham on the other crew members. Like, think of how the impact of that would have been significantly reduced if it had been filmed at night. But here it's broad fucking daylight, and it spares nothing, and it's so much better, and it's so much scarier, and it's so much impactful.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. When someone says I love Prometheus, I don't react like, how could you? Because I think there are dozens of ways to absolutely love Prometheus. And there are elements of it that I absolutely adore, including that self-surgery scene, which I think is one of the most tension-filled and dazzling uses of a small space in film. I just think it is so scary. And the performance that she gives is so incredible in that, like, you have to sell everything that's happening in this very fantastical situation. And they make it feel life and death when you know she's going to live to the end of the movie. And yet you don't know if she's going to make it there in one piece. It is really thrilling and impactful and dazzling. And there's tons of great set design. There's so much to love about that movie. It doesn't all work for me. But again, an alien movie that doesn't work for me is still better than so many other movies on the face of the planet that it's not even an issue for me. I'm not going to get in my big problem with that is that Numi Rapace's boyfriend, who's like, all I want to do is go to the planet where God exists. And then he goes there and he meets his he basically goes to his creator's house and then he's sad. And I'm like, the fuck is going on here? What the fuck is going on here? Why is he sad? Like, but it would be fine if he told me why he was, or I could figure out why he was. But the movie has no time for that because he's got to get injected with some alien goo to make the plot move forward.
Yeah, you could feel like, okay, let's get back to David 8. Let's see what David 8's doing.
Yeah. And I get it. Again, just because it doesn't entirely work for me, I don't doubt other people that it works 100% for them. Like it's still a really good fucking movie. Whereas here now, this isn't even, I think, particularly spectacular because it would be one thing if this movie was dark and incompetent, full of shitty characters that almost nothing happens to. It's entirely repetitive. They're paper people, but it also did crazy shit. Like is this the Cats of both the Alien and Predator franchise? Yes and no. I mean, this makes the original Alien versus Predator look like The Godfather meets All the President's Men. But that said, this just doesn't make crazy choices. It really wants to be a badass, cool, everyone thinks I'm edgy movie with the way it dispatches people and it just tears through entire named and unnamed characters, but it doesn't have any weight to it. Cats at least makes fucking choices. And I don't think this movie makes a ton of choices.
No, it doesn't. And like I said, I mean, if the intended goal was to be, we're going to be gorier than other alien movies, fine, but let us see it.
Yes, exactly. If you're going to go for gore, then we have to be able to see the gore to appreciate it, right? We have said on multiple occasions, we're not exactly Terrifier's ultimate audience. And that's okay. Nothing against that audience. We just know we're not going to have the best of times. So we don't want to show up and shit on something that was never aimed at us to begin with. But if you're going to say, I'm going to make some really grisly aliens and predator deaths, I'm into that. It would be nice if I could see them.
Well, that's why I'm excited about Romulus because Fade Alvarez is involved, and I really, really, really liked his reboot of Evil Dead, which is very gruesome. Mm-hmm. And so I am excited to see if he brings that aesthetic to the Alien franchise.
And with Don't Breathe, I also have confidence that an enclosed space thriller, right, where you can't just walk outside to get away from it because you're in outer fucking space. So whatever you do to try to live through this is going to require some ingenuity on your part. You're going to have to sneak around a lot. There's a lot that I feel really works within his wheelhouse. So I'm trying to temper my expectations, of course, because it never helps to have this is going to be the ultimate alien movie going into it. You're just going to walk away from it.
Of course not.
My expectations. Hence my conversation online today all day, which is the quote, "This movie didn't scare me," is not an actual metric of how I judge a horror movie.
No.
It's fun when that happens, but horror movies deliver a plethora of emotions and moods to you, and scare happens to be one of them, but it's not the only one. And sometimes you just see people go, "This didn't scare me, therefore bad movie." I'm like, my guess is there are many other elements that you did not get from the film, and that is why it's a bad movie. And probably because you didn't care about any of those characters, or couldn't find an emotional connection. That's why it didn't scare you.
Right, exactly.
Want to teach your kids financial literacy but not sure where to start? Greenlight can help. With Greenlight, parents can keep an eye on kids' spending and saving, while kids and teens use a card of their own to build money confidence. As a parent, you can send instant money transfers, set up chores, automate allowance, and more. It's a convenient way to run your household, customized to your family's needs, and the easy way to raise financially smart kids. Get started with Greenlight today and get your first month free at greenlight.com/pod. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Shopify is there to help you grow. Shopify helps you sell everywhere, from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms, and sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. What I love about Shopify is how no matter how big you want to grow, Shopify gives you everything you need to take control and take your business to the next level. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., and Shopify is the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way. Because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
High Five Casino lets you play your favorite slot and live table games like blackjack with the chance to redeem for real cash prizes. High Five Casino has a giant selection of over 1,200 games, including hundreds of exclusive games only found on High Five Casino. It's always free to play, and free coins are given out every 4 hours. Ready to have your own high five moment? Visit highfivecasino.com. That's casino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. Must be 21 years or older. Terms and conditions apply.
So
I mean, we really don't need to do a beat by beat of this, because I'm not kidding you when I tell you that I watched this 24 hours ago, and I remember almost nothing. I remember there was some dumb shit with the one of the brothers, having a secret relationship with this blonde-haired girl who can't make up her fucking mind who she wants to be with, and her boyfriend's a big jerk and pushes this guy around, and I'm like, okay, are they 16? Are they 25? I can't fucking tell, because it's so dark.
And it's so dark, and every young person in this movie looks like an extra in a yellow card video.
Yes.
They came we have to cast for young people in this movie. Well, they're doing they're doing pickups for this Avril Lavigne music video. Why don't you see some of these people? Like, all right, I'll take him, her, and him. And
give me a couple Henleys and a bad haircut.
Yes, exactly. Just make sure they are wearing American Eagle and we're done. And that's their character. Like, the one jerk off is a jerk off, but he's not an entertaining jerk off. There's nothing interesting about him. He is set up to be the character that the audience cheers over when he gets killed off. And I'm like, oh, right. Yeah, that character. Yeah. So like Stephen Pasquale's character is Dallas Howard. Why name another alien character Dallas when you're not going to live up to it? Again, I can tell you're a fan. I know you watched the movies. That's fine.
But also you have a character named Dallas and you have another character named Dale.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a problem. But Ricky is Dallas's younger brother. He's the one who can't stand that he delivers pizza and he has to wear a hat. But you look at the hat, it's a fucking ball cap.
Yeah, apparently, like for some reason in this town, like even like if I had to guess, I guess these characters are like college age. I mean, I genuinely cannot tell.
No, you can't tell. They're
like,
somewhere in between. If they're teenagers, obviously they cast people who are over 18. But if they're college students, they don't fucking act like it. And when he delivers this pizza to the girl he likes' house, he like unloads it, and one of the guys back's like, "Well, now I know what I'm going to wear for Halloween." You're going to dress up as a fucking pizza delivery person for Halloween?
Apparently, like a pizza delivery person in this little crappy town is like the most, the lowest of the low job you can have.
You are literally one step below the unhoused people who are hanging out in the sewer, according to this movie. It is so fucking odd. Again, I wish the movie had more of these choices. It would make it more interesting. But to be honest with you, it spends the vast majority of its running time just setting people up for 5 minutes to knock them down.
Yeah, and again, these characters, none of these characters have more than like two sentences devoted to who they are. You've got Dallas, he's just out of jail.
Yeah.
You've got Ricky, he's a pizza delivery guy, and he kind of maybe likes this blonde-haired girl. The blonde-haired girl, she can't decide between Ricky and Dale.
She's got terrible taste in boyfriends.
Military lady, she just got out of the military.
She wishes her daughter would connect with her, but also she wants it to happen immediately, which is, I get it. I do get it, but also it just makes her seem like kind of an asshole, and it shouldn't. That emotion should be real. It should be relatable. It should draw us in, not push us away. And the movie just does not have the time or the capacity to build that genuine emotion into any of these situations. It just flops them out there. It just smacks their floppy dick on the table and go, just you wait until some alien tubes get shoved down these dumb shits' throats.
I want you to go back to a minute for a minute when we talked about aliens.
Sure.
And you read a review from our good buddy Gene Harold Siskel.
Yes.
Who complained that he didn't think the Space Marines were memorable characters, that right. They were just, again, set up like bowling pins to be knocked over. And yes. We basically said, enough about them. That Drake and Vasquez have a little thing going on.
Yeah, you know which one's the horny one. You know the guy who's the slacker. You know the pilots have their own weird relationship that isn't sexual, but is definitely sets them apart from everyone else.
Yeah, they got a very we've been in the shit together kind of relationship.
Exactly.
You've got
and they fit into stereotypes of the doomed squadron. I know the vast majority of the squadron isn't living to the end.
Right. You've got Hudson, who is a goofball, and he's about to check out of the whole scene entirely. You've got Hicks, who's the leader, and he's kind of serious, but also kind of flirty with Ripley. And I do feel like I kind of know these people. Whereas these characters, I'm like, whoops. And how am I supposed to feel that this person has died? I feel nothing, and that's terrible because you shouldn't just be like you shouldn't shrug at when a character is killed in a movie.
I mean, we've said it time and time again, especially as we went through both Nightmares and Screams and Friday the 13th. Like, this stuff is really only as good. Like, I love a good kill and everything. But the goal of many of those actors is, how do I communicate to the audience that I've had a life, that what I'm doing now, while superfluous, what if, will you miss me when I'm gone? Can I bring you across to what I'm doing here enough that when I meet a dream demon or a guy in a ghost face mask and they stab me to death, they're going to go, oh no, not that person. Because you don't want them to die. You know, a bunch of them are. You don't know what order it's going to be, and you don't know whether they can get in or out of it. That's the tension of a slasher. And this has all the sort of paper people thing that happened in those later slasher cycles, where they just threw the dumbest fucking a-holes into the movie and like, you're going to love it when this person gets stabbed through an eyeball.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like,
Really?
sure, I guess.
I mean, if that's what you want to do with our time together, I suppose. And I just think we've always been drawn to more of the efforts where they find a way to make at least some of them, probably not all of them, but when you give people an internal dynamic and they can illustrate that on, it doesn't have to take up half the movie, but if they can find a clever way to demonstrate their value to the motion picture, we will miss them when they're gone. We will root for them to find a way out. That is part of the goal of this type of motion picture. And for whatever, from the script to the filming to the post to the film that we see as the end result, they don't give a shit about any of these people. So why should we?
They're superfluous. Like I said, I would absolutely bet that they try to figure out a way that they could make this movie without using human characters. And it's like, oh wait, these things don't talk. No one's gonna watch a an hour and a half movie of click 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 click.
Well, so here's the thing. It's interesting that we do this post our conversation about In a Violent Nature, because that sort of takes the dynamic to, if you are just mostly locked into this antagonist sort as the protagonist dynamic, and we're primarily see them venture sort of in the backstage of what you would normally get of a slasher movie. And we really see that journey from here to there instead of only seeing them bamf from one place to the next to kill somebody. Can it be an engaging endeavor? I think it would be possible to do something akin to that in maybe the Predator space or Alien space. I don't know. I just don't think a movie studio would spend $100 million making it.
No.
And they spent $40. My apologies. $40 million. And I can honestly tell you that In a Violent Nature blows this film off the map, despite it having much less sophisticated practical effects.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And I is it because they're visual effects guys? They're just CGI guys. Like, they're obviously pouring a fair amount of effort into a lot of things that would make this successful. But I don't know that there's been a movie in a while that I've seen from the opening credit stab alone, I'm like, oh, these people don't know what they're doing. This is everything about the red aliens slit eye opening to reveal that they've changed the title from Alien versus Predator to Aliens versus Predator. And then you can't read the actual type of Aliens versus Predator Requiem. And then in the end of the day, Gina, the hardest part, there's no Requiem.
I was going to say, what is this a Requiem for other than the franchise?
I don't know. I think they were looking through a dictionary or a thesaurus. They're like, what thing can we add to Aliens versus Predator outside of 2 to make this seem vital or interesting? And some guy, after snorting a couple of rails, said, Requiem.
That sounds cool.
That sounds cool as shit. It's a requiem, everybody. It's a treatise. It's a culmination of this ancient unseen battle that no one really fucking cares about. It was way more intriguing when you just saw a skull in a Predator's spaceship. You're like, ooh, that would be cool. And then it just kind of comes down to what I've often said about cool things in movies. If it looks good on the side of a van, it will not probably make a very good movie.
Unless, of course, you are the Beastmaster.
Unless you're the Beastmaster, unless you're Conan the Barbarian. There are very few things that have crossed that threshold. It's actually what I do kind of like about Marvel movies. I think they're very painterly. It is what other people do not. But I read comics every single week. So I don't care if it looks real. I don't go to these Marvel movies to see reality reflected. I don't care what Wolverine looks like in my world. I want to see what Wolverine is in the movie that I'm watching. And if that means it looks a little painterly, I am really okay with it.
Yeah, totally.
I wish I could point to this or that as like some sort of achievement. I wish that you could see the Predalien in its giant form to see if it's really cool, because they want to sort of recreate that feeling when you first saw the Queen Alien in Aliens and go, that's really walking around. And it is. They filmed it walking around in the rain and you can't see it at all.
Well, yeah, I Googled concept art of it and I'm like, that's fucking cool. I would like to see that in action.
Yes. And when you see like the behind the scenes stuff, you're like, actually, if you could have photographed this in this movie in an interesting way, I think you would have done very well. All told, this movie ended up making $130 million.
Jesus
now,
Christ.
Most of that was overseas. So this film kind of basically it's a wash. It doesn't make money, but it doesn't lose money. It's just in that gray zone. And, I don't think it's helped by that sort of Bourne supremacy film style where you get really up close to characters and shake the camera a lot. And that's supposed to convey energy.
Yeah, that especially
too many people tried to do it.
And especially doesn't help in the dark.
Right. Exactly. That sequence when there's the unhoused group of people in that sewer and they're attacked. Basically, one xenomorph is pointing at people like, you go down that one's throat. They need to be guided. Are you in charge of them? Are you the kindergarten teacher? We've never seen them communicate across life stages like this before. Again, maybe an interesting choice, but you barely see anything that happens. And then this one lady arrives and the xenomorph, who at this point has just been a tour guide, goes, I'm going to eat your face. We don't see it. It just, what? What are we getting out of this? Is she being turned into an egg? What is happening? Who knows? Gina, what is the life cycle of a fucking xenomorph in this movie? People get planted, and it used to take a day or two for them to, get an egg implanted, have it grow big enough to be a chest burster. And in here, it's kind of like anywhere between half an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, like you got the father and son at the beginning of the movie. They both get knocked out, and then they wake up and they're like, oh, ow, oh, and then here comes a chest burster.
Yeah, their life cycle is so fucking fast. It doesn't, and then like it goes from day to night. I don't know how long the period of time this takes place.
Not you could fucking tell.
Yeah, no. The other thing that I have to say, it's so stupid. Wolf sees what happens in the fucking spaceship, the janitor predator's spaceship, in his little telestrator, and then he zooms off, and then he goes to the wreckage, puts on the mask of one of the predators, and sees the exact same footage. You knew that happened. That's why you came here. You saw that. Are you verifying?
Last week on Predator Cam.
Right. And so like he shows up within hours of this occurring based on when the sun sets and falls. It just, I don't like it, Gina. I don't like it. And
It's not
I want to be
good.
positive. I don't want to hate on these movies, but some films simply fail.
It's not good. It's not good.
It's not. So, are there any other things that we absolutely have to say about this truly D- effort?
I mean, the most interesting thing about this movie is a very tragic and gruesome story that occurred afterwards.
Sure.
When the actor who played Ricky, who is an actor named Johnny Lewis, who was probably most well known for being on Sons of Anarchy. And he was in actually a very, very good but intense and disturbing horror movie I saw some years ago called Lovely Molly. I don't know if you've ever seen that. That's a movie I think about from time to time. But no, I'm not going to get into the details. But if you just look up Johnny Lewis Los Angeles, you will see that he committed a pretty heinous murder and then either committed suicide or died in a fall. And it ended up being a pretty tragic story because the eventual conclusion was that he'd suffered from a traumatic brain injury and it turned him violent. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's literally the only interesting thing about this movie is the pizza delivery guy ended up killing somebody in real life like a couple of years after this came out.
Yeah, my apologies to everyone else in the cast. I hope you found a way to make money in this industry without having to appear in any more Alien versus Predator movies.
Yeah, I don't know how anybody can look at this and then complain about Prometheus, because at least Prometheus, and yeah, you're right, not all of it works. I gotta say, I watched it a few times. I still don't really understand the concept of the engineers.
Sure,
but it looks amazing. Everything is bright as shit. Like every scene is so brightly lit. You cannot miss a thing. And it's got ideas for days.
Yeah, it's got way more ideas than it has time for.
It has actual characters.
Yes.
You've got Idris Elba, you've got Charlize Theron, you've got Guy Pearce, you've got people like Benedict Wong and all these interesting character actors, playing characters.
Yeah. It is very interesting, and it's so gorgeous to look at.
It is. It's beautiful.
Even if you end up thinking it's kind of garbage, it's beautiful. Like it's all on the screen. It is lovingly photographed. All the effect shots look good. All the practical effects look good. There's so much going on. I guess we will actually have to cover it.
I could happily talk about that movie.
Yeah, I think I bought a 3D version of it and I started watching it and I'm like, there really is a lot going on here that I am very, very positive about. And I should stop viewing it through my initial lens of the motion picture and just deal with it on its own terms without the heat of everything else. So, but I didn't feel we could do that in an hour. You know what we can do in an hour? Talk about Aliens versus Predator Requiem.
Yeah. This was going to be a shorty.
My apologies to everyone. We got lots of long ones this year, so don't worry about it.
We got like an hour and 45 out of the Wraith.
Yeah, for crying out loud. We talked about the Wraith longer than the time that the movie takes place in. That's insane. But we can't end our conversation without choosing our own death venture, and that's where we decide of the many, 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 many deaths featured in this film, which one would it be and why? And you, like I said it before, you pretty much have three categories. You can either get blown up, you can get face huggered and chest bursted, you can get zapped by laser cannon, or you can get stabbed with predator claw, or you can get and mangled and mauled by a xenomorph. And so, Gina, I choose you to go first.
Well, I've had kidney stones, and
Mhm.
and I have to believe, they say that kidney stones, are equal in pain to childbirth. And they're the two most painful things a human body can endure. Now, I did not actually go through standard labor with my child, so all I've experienced is the kidney stones. But I'm
Mhm.
figuring, how much worse could a chest burster feel than a kidney stone? Especially, as soon as they're out, you're just, good night.
Yeah,
I've had
you're
I've had a good life. I mean,
right.
so I honestly think I would take a face hugger and then chest bursting.
Sure. I mean, I would like to meet a predator. I don't need to meet a xenomorph, but I wouldn't mind meeting a predator. So I would take laser cannoning or stabbing, if I'm being honest, because while my heart loves the aliens more, I'm more intellectually curious about predator society. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
going in
and,
that
and, and we
direction.
get you in the chest. You get your heart again. It's
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
You're
Dear
like,
God.
oh, this is everything I dreamed of.
Yeah. Yay. Josh Hollis does all of our artwork. Go to revengebodymemphis@bandcamp.com to get this song or any of our remixes. Gina, where can people see and hear more from you on these here internets?
I write about movies and television at thespool.net, and my Substack, GinaWatchesThings.substack.com, and I am on most social medias under Gina Does Things.
Do it today, people. Check it out. And of course, you can visit us on Patreon, where we're doing lots of cool things and extra episodes explicitly for you, including bonus episodes, listener requests, and commentaries. And of course, you can visit us on most of the socials with the exception of Twitter. Fuck that place. But that just about does it for this particular episode. Now, coming up here on the show, we've got lots of fun stuff coming your way. And yes, we will be covering Alien Romulus when it arrives. So hopefully that all works out. We're trying our best, people. We really are. But until then, don't worry. The body count will continue. For myself and for Gina, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
High Five Casino lets you play your favorite slot and live table games like blackjack with the chance to redeem for real cash prizes. High Five Casino has a giant selection of over 1,200 games, including hundreds of exclusive games only found on High Five Casino. It's always free to play, and free coins are given out every 4 hours. Ready to have your own high five moment? Visit highfivecasino.com. That's high, the number 5, casino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. Must be 21 years or older. Terms and conditions apply.